Microphone check 212. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay. It's a lovely Sunday, and we are celebrating the second woman ever to come on to the podcast, the one, the only, Cali Rockowitz. What is going on?
Hi.
Great person to be as a second woman.
Who was the first woman?
Her name's Kaylee Christina.
Kaylee Callie. I'm a natural.
Very
progression.
Natural. Yep. And she is a COO of a skincare company.
Love that.
And she's a badass.
Love that. Love skincare.
Yeah. So
love women.
We got love women. I love women too. So we got the skincare, and then we got some art coming in today. So I think this is going to be a great start to getting some more women onto this podcast.
Love that.
I don't even know where to start with you because I'm pretty excited to have you here today. To give you some context, how I came across you, and I'm sure I don't even know, well, I do know this post blew up, but in June during Black Lives Matter. That's how I found you.
Wow.
So I had seen that post and I felt it because I was somebody that was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Well, I know what's the right thing that needs to change, but I am like frozen. And so I saw that post and I resonated with it. I'm like, who is this? Like, I got to click into this. And then I saw that you were out here. I saw the work that you had done, and I saw we had a lot of mutual friends, and I was like, okay, I don't know who this is. Like, I need to like follow this and see what this girl's up to.
Yeah.
And then even since, so that was June. And then over the last like 3 months, casually seeing your content, and then sometimes you would share out some of the stuff from Sorry Dad. I was like, this girl's energy is phenomenal because I respect it because you're passionate and you just don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Where does that come from?
Just a lot of years giving a fuck. It came from that. It was more like, I spent my entire 20s figuring out exactly what I didn't want to do with my life or how I didn't want to live my life. And then I don't know if it was 2020, it kind of catapulted all of us in a bunch of different directions, but I just, I turned 30 last year, almost a year ago. And I was like, there's no more time to like live a life that is not true to myself. And so
Totally.
I kind of stripped away all the judgment I felt like I was going to get for A, quitting my job and painting, and B, the Sorry Dad thing that came out of nowhere. Literally, I have no idea where it came from.
Yeah.
But
well, that's so interesting you're saying that because a recent podcast guest that I had done a podcast with, he's the co-founder of Iconic. It's a canvas art company. His name's Mark Brazil.
Yeah.
And he's 35, and in our podcast, he talked about you should spend your 20s just trying a bunch of shit so that you kind of set yourself up so that when you turn into the 30s, it becomes, you kind of have a better idea of what you want to do. And that sounds like the timing was like you hit 30, you had an idea what you want to do, and then you just said, fuck it, I'm going for it.
Yeah, I went to school for marketing business. A lot of people do that because they don't really know exactly what they're doing.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I was like, this will
marketing
prepare me for
sounds
something.
right.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
funny because like marketing changes literally weekly. Like
Totally.
the technology too. So everything I learned is irrelevant now. But I worked for this big corporate company right out of college, and then I quit to become a choreographer, and then I went back to like a startup, and it was just all these different, and like I worked for sales like for a tech company, and then I was like, a year ago, I had a little panic attack at like 5 a.m. in September of last year. And I called my mom and I was like, I don't know what it is, but I cannot go to work today. And I can't tell if I'm being a little bitch, like I don't want to work anymore. Or because I felt like I was being complacent with my art and complacent with my job. And like I needed to, if I needed to get rid of that pretty solid safety blanket, or else my art was just going to be sad and boring. I need some skin in the game.
Totally.
So that's why I didn't have a plan. I just quit my job. I gave 2 weeks and then I quit my job, and the first commission I got was actually one for Will Smith in November of that.
Lying.
No, and Matt Como?
Of course, great guy.
He saw someone needed a painter for this project, and he reached out to me, and it was Thanksgiving week of last year, and I was like, I canceled my flight. I worked 48 hours straight on this portrait of the Will Smith family, and I was just like, well, I guess this is going to work for me.
Holy shit. So, okay, this is interesting. The first commission piece was for Will Smith.
Yeah.
After you quit your job.
I know.
That's
I know.
like
It was a gift. It was a gift for him, but I painted the whole family, the whole Will Smith family or the Smith family.
That's like the most ideal situation to happen, because I feel like that just gives you a shit ton of confidence of like, okay, if I just did a first piece for Will, there's got to be more traction that's going to come after this.
Exactly. And I think for the past year, every day I wake up like I'm never going to make it. I compare myself to other artists. I'm like, I see all these people that I idolize. Their work is so much better than mine, in my opinion, and all this stuff. And then I just hit a year anniversary of quitting my job. And I
saw that.
I looked back and I was like, I did like a piece for Kehlani, and I did a music video for Niall Horan, like all these things that, may not make me the richest person in the world, but like it proved to me that I could do this.
Yeah.
And it proved to me that other people appreciate it too, because they, like a lot of these things, they don't need a painting. Like painting is not a necessary part of a lot of the projects I'm involved in, but they saw the quality, and I'm so grateful to everyone who's ever looped me into anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the thing is, when you, especially those like the Will Smith or the Kehlani, that's all credibility for you. So even if it's not price wise, whatever that might look like, it's like if they're rocking with your work, you can utilize that to leverage other bigger opportunities, or so that when somebody random hits you up, you're like, yeah, did this piece for Kehlani, and my price is going up because somebody's seeing the value in like what I have to offer.
And I think right now exposure for me is way more valuable than any current, like any other currency. And the Kehlani one and the Will Smith one were two just like the physical painting is things I had never done before. And I had like multiple panic attacks, both scenarios. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't physically paint this. And then I did. And I was like, that was the most important part to both of those things. And the Niall Horan one too, they gave me 12 hours to do this painting, this realism painting. And I was like, this shit takes me like 3 weeks to do, like one usually. But like that show business, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't going to say no to anybody. I don't even care if it, like I got paid, but like jokes on them, I would have done it for free.
Well, how do you approach, do you think, this is something that I and actually from Matt Coma, I did a podcast with Matt probably in 2018, and the title of his podcast was Confidence Comes from Repeated Action. And so and I'm imagining, so when you have these opportunities for the Will Smith or for the Kehlani, even though there obviously is a little bit more pressure and there's probably a little bit more anxiety because it's such a high level opportunity, is it because of all the years of painting that you feel like you were ready for these moments had you just started and then got the opportunity? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because I painted as a kid. I painted like 3 years old up to like 18. No like training or anything. It was just more like there were canvases and art supplies at my house and I would just paint. I took like a couple classes in high school, like, extracurriculars or whatever. And then once I went to college, I didn't paint for almost 10 years. And then I started up again I quit my job a year after I started painting again. So I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't have like a formal training, but in my head, even though I have all this self-doubt all the time with my personal collection and all this stuff, I just know I can do it. Like when you tell yourself you don't have a choice, you just do it. Like that Will Smith painting was the first painting I'd ever done ever in color, like skin tone. And I remember I had like an hour to say yes to them. And I had like 20 minutes to go to the art store and get the proper supplies. I like ran into Blick and I was like, can somebody help me? And I was like, I showed them the photo and they like rallied behind me and they were like, okay, they pinpointed every skin tone. Okay. They're like, they got all the colors for me. And I was like, I remember I started painting, I think it was Jada's mom, on the first stroke of skin tone. And I was like, I stepped back and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I cannot do it in 48 hours. I definitely cannot do it.
Yeah. And
then I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do it. I just got to do it. My whole apartment was like a Celsius graveyard, like energy drinks everywhere. I was like, it was a crazy experience. So worth it. But like in the moment, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah. Because there's so much pressure on
you.
10 years though, that like surprises me.
Yeah.
You stepped away, you started a passion at 3. You love it. You grow up with it. I don't know how much it was part of your life or if it was something you just did on the side, but why step away for a decade?
Well, I had a very like I don't want to say vanilla life. I had a very, I was sold the package that we're all sold, that, you go to school. I grew up in a fairly like wealthy neighborhood. You go to school.
Where'd you grow up?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, nice.
You go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a corporate job, and then you get married and have kids. And
fuck all that.
Yeah, I was like, LOL. But I graduated high school and I went to college, and it's not like I have like, I'm living in like a box of a dorm room, and I just didn't think being an artist could be a career. I never in my mind thought that was a thing. Like I just was so inexperienced, and there's such a lack of culture in Scottsdale that I was just like, well, that was a fun little, hobby I had growing up. And then a couple years ago, I ran into an artist actually at a convention I was working, the S&P Global, like the S&P 500.
Oh yeah.
So I was working on their market intelligence side, normal corporate job. And I was at a conference for them, and there was an artist there doing something for something. And I was like, yeah, I used to paint. And he was like, you don't paint anymore? I was like, no. He's like, you should just go get a canvas and see what happens. And I didn't for a while. And then one day I did, and I was like, holy fuck. Thank God it's like riding a bike, because like I didn't know if I could paint still. And then I did. I think I took that image off my Instagram, but because now I've like progressed, and I'm like embarrassed of my old work, even though it's part of the journey.
Of course.
But like I just knew I needed to do it for the rest of my life. I had such a fire under me that I hadn't felt ever in my life.
So is that conversation with this artist that kind of reignited like, wait, why am I not doing this?
Yeah. I was like, then I started like, maybe it was a side of the internet I hadn't experienced, but like being an artist is a career, especially with the internet. Because like, yes, I'm not well versed in the gallery circuit or anything like that, but I've sold paintings literally just from my Instagram followers. And then I've gotten all these gigs because of the people I've met. And like, it's just, you can build whatever fucking life you want.
I know.
You don't need, I didn't need to go to art school or like study any of that. I mean, I could use it at this point. I'm like on YouTube, like trying to figure out how to like do things, but
YouTube University.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
I'm like Googling other materials like resin and all these other things. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? But I'll figure it out.
Have you seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix yet?
Oh yeah.
So,
oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, I understand the whole concept of the documentary, which I highly recommend people that are listening to go watch and see. It's like what could happen, right? Mm-hmm. All the bad of what is being tracked about us. It goes down a rabbit hole. But the opportunities that social media provides, if you use the tool correctly, it is unbelievable. Yeah. Like for me personally, like podcasting in general, this was not possible 10 years ago without a full production studio, tens of thousands of dollars invested, trying to get a network to believe in my vision. So it's like, I understand there's a lot of negativity from social media. There's the comparison trap. There's, it's very easy to get sucked into the reality of that versus actual reality. But at the same time, it's like people like yourself, you're able to build your brand in your network through just posting content and sharing like your actual work, which is amazing.
Yeah. And it takes more self-discipline to not get sucked into any rabbit holes. Like you have to be really aware of it. Like I've unfollowed so many artists that I love, but I was fearful that my work was going to look like theirs. So I try not to look at any artists. Like I'll discover new artists. I'll look at them for a sec, maybe get inspired, and then I'll literally never look at them again. Because if I get sucked into like obsessing over a certain artist,
totally,
I'm trying to I'm trying to figure out what my thing is, and I don't know what that is yet. I just don't want it to be anyone else's thing.
Yeah, that's good. So. But I think it's important to look around at what's out there and pull different inspirations, because at the end of the day, all the greatest ideas and art or anything in life, it all stems from multiple influences. So it's like, it's good to survey the land, get inspired by other people, but I respect that. And like, I don't want to see it in my feed, because then I'm like,
because then I wake up like, fuck,
why didn't I do this?
Yeah. I used to go in deep rabbit holes with artists before I went to bed. And then I'd wake up in a panic being like, I'm never going to make it. Yeah. And now I'm like,
I'm fucking making it. I'm making this shit happen.
Yeah.
When I was doing the research before today, just to like kind of get a little bit more context to you, it's so easy for us to like when I came across you in June, perfect example. I come across you and I see chapter 15 of your life, right? I see where you are at and I'm like, damn, this girl's crushing. She's got all this art. It's crushing. Like, damn, she's fucking popping. Like, she got this shit figured out. But there's still work in progress. I know that. Yeah. I know. Mm-hmm. But, and then I started doing like some of the research today or a couple days ago. And the thing that really caught me was after college, you did, like you had mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, you bounced around to 4 different cities. You did 10 different jobs. Mm-hmm. So through that time though, and art's not in your life at that moment, mm-hmm. Are there any jobs that you actually had where you actually started to feel passion for? Or do you feel like it was always, let me see how this works out, go 6 months, don't like this, move on to the next?
I had this one job right the second time moving back to New York. It's funny because I took a risk I would never do now. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. But I left New York, took this like choreography job for this resort, which is something I'd always wanted to do. I just wanted to get it out of my system. That was never gonna be my career. But then I was like, I'm gonna try New York again because I hated it the first time, but I have this urge to do it again. So I moved back with no job lined up, no apartment lined up. My friend was in Europe, so I stayed at her place. I had 1 month to get my shit together. I like moved out with a couple bags, and I was like, I applied to a bunch of jobs, had a bunch of interviews like the first couple weeks, and I remember I was on the phone with my mom crying, being like, I got off an interview, I got I just was in way over my head. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I don't even know how I got the interview. While I'm on the phone with my mom, I have a call on the other line. I'm like, I don't know what this number is, but I'm going to answer it. And it was this startup that I don't even remember reaching out to. I guess I just found them and then they had an email. And so I sent them an email. I'm like, hey, I'm moving to New York. Would love to like talk to you. It was a curated wine subscription service.
It's kind of bomb.
Yeah.
Do you like wine?
Love wine.
Yeah. Okay. So that's bomb.
I met with them, and at the time, I think there was 4 of them, and I was the 5th. I think I was the 5th hire. I was either 5th or 6th, but it became a family, and it felt like art's something I'm building as my own, and that was the closest thing I had felt to like. Every day I'd work really early to really late for something I felt like was my own, because we were so like, it was just family, and like I was passionate about it. Like my job was sourcing wine. Like who let me do that? Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I think I drifted way far away from that. Moving forward, I worked for these like other startups, but like bigger ones and like bigger corporate companies, and I was like, I need to feel something again, you know? So I don't know what I'm doing still, but I'm doing whatever it is. And
you're making it work.
And I'm making it work. I think I'm at first, Sorry Dad was kind of like I just wanted to put my erotic art somewhere else. So if people came to my Instagram, they weren't like, what the fuck is going on here? Like you have these like portraits, these fairly like normal portraits. And then you have like this girl sitting on a guy's face. Like, Cali, what the fuck? That was the goal. It was literally like, I'm just going to like put this somewhere else. I don't want to remove it, but I want to put it somewhere else. And then like I was showing the art to someone one day, someone's dad. And I, under my breath, I was like, sorry, Dad. And I was like, holy fuck, that's it.
That's how you landed
I was at Waterfront. I was wasted. And my friend Coyote's dad was with us. And I turned to my friend Dylan, and he pulls his phone. He's like, we're buying the domain right now. We got the Instagram handle. And then I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out tomorrow. And then I like curated this feed, and then I had this like tiny little launch on March 3rd.
Oh, was it this year?
This year.
Wow.
And then during quarantine is when I was like painting my friends' nudes digitally. And then I was like, does anyone else want this? And I got an influx of the strangers from all over the world sending me their nudes. And I was like, I guess I have a business now.
Whoa.
And people were paying me to send me nudes. And I'm like, I hacked the system, guys. I literally hacked the system. I don't know.
Getting paid.
Yeah.
To have people send you
nudes.
nudes.
My phone is a hot commodity. Let me tell you.
I hope you got that thing.
Double. I have that extra long password. I don't know if that's gonna do anything.
The social dilemma is because of the shit like that.
I need to like. I usually, I do delete everyone's nudes, but like, there's so many in the rotation that I'm like, oh god.
Oh my god. I love that. That's how the time. That was the first thing I wanted to ask you about within Sorry Dad. Is like, Branding is incredible. Sorry, Dad. I have a sister, younger sister, so like I can think of all the moments when she would be like, sorry, Dad, to like my father. But the branding is just like literally incredible.
Thank you. Nothing's ever like flowed out of me so organically. Like I've never created anything that's so me before in terms of like, I'm not even that sexual of a person unless like I consider myself demisexual, which means like I need an emotional connection to really like be in it. So people are like, oh, do you get turned on when people send you their nudes? I'm like, not at all, unless I have a crush on you. Like, no.
Different.
But like the black and white is because I'm very much so like a minimalist, and I think it kind of understates the sexuality, doesn't make it so overtly sexual. So it makes it digestible, I think, for more people, which is very much so like me. Like, I don't give a fuck, but I also like want everyone to like me.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
How did you get so like comfortable with sharing all this stuff? Like I pulled three quotes from Sorry, Dad. These were just somewhere to the top, and I thought they were great. One was, imagine you're trying to strangle me and I'm just moaning. Love that. Second one, shout out to the men of the world for this one, fellas. It said, men who eat pussy for their own pleasure go to heaven. So
that one is the most shared one on my whole account.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then the last one, I really love this one. The clitoris has 8,000 nerves. If you're going to get on my nerves, get on one of those.
So these are all like, I guess I was just, enlightened, but there's like a whole side of Twitter that's just like sexual shit.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these, I tag them, their tweets from people.
Gotcha.
I don't know where I found the men who eat pussy go to heaven or whatever. For pleasure go to heaven. I don't know where I found that, but earlier in the Sorry Dad Instagram, I actually photoshopped that phrase onto a billboard photo, so it looks like it's a billboard in LA.
Amazing.
And I was just, I get a lot of that content from people. Some of it's like self-written, like I have a few poems in there, but like, I try to aggregate everything as a brand, and then I sell my art and my clothes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're actually developing like vibrators and lube and stuff.
Oh my God.
They're in the works for Valentine's Day of next year.
Holy shit. Look, we're getting a little heads up through the pod today already. Well, do you think it's important for platforms like that to actually talk? Because I feel like people could come across that and be like, whoa, this is like a little edgy. This is a lot. But I feel like there's actually some weird importance to being willing to share things like that. So
it's funny because I remember starting this page and being like my DMs on Cali Rock are already like a cesspool of like
some weird shit. Is this some weird shit?
There's some weird shit. And then like, I don't even have like, I think it's just that it comes with the territory of being a woman who like kind of shows her body on Instagram.
Totally.
But with Sorry Dad, I was like, fuck, this is going to be like a whole nother animal. But surprisingly, the DMs I get are from women thanking me for having like this community platform where we are empowered to act as we naturally would, but that we're kind of taught not to, and it's like Sorry Dad's definitely for every gender, sexuality. It's for everyone. Like I do nudes of like I've done like transgender people, I've done men, everything, but there's definitely a heavy female empowerment undertone. And I think that a lot of people who come to the page get that vibe. So it's not, I want it to be more than just like, ooh, this fun, sexy thing on Instagram. Like I want it to be a space for people to normalize that conversation. Cause like I was always taught I'm still trying to understand that sex isn't bad.
No.
Sex isn't something that I should be ashamed of. And I'm 30 and I'm still trying to unlearn everything I was taught.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't even raised in a religious household or anything like that. But it's just like, I was never taught about sex. So in my mind, it was bad,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just make it a conversation.
I love that. Having people pay you to paint their nudes, I think is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten like heat from that, especially when you were like just starting to launch that, or has that just been smooth sailing ever since?
Shockingly, nothing. There's been no hiccups in that business model. I haven't had to deal with, luckily everyone's of age. I get a lot of people wanting to gift it to their significant others. I used to make prints and ship them to people if they wanted. But now I just send really large digital files and then with links, people like my top 3 favorite links where they can make canvases, posters, cards, anything with the image. I'm a one woman show. So like handling the logistics of everything. Thank God, like, you know, Ryan from Fan of a Fan is helping me a lot with other things. But yeah, I can't believe people pay me to do it.
Why do you think they pay you to do that? Because it's such a vulnerable and unique thing to do. Mm-hmm. Like for me to go, I'm gonna send a nude to this artist mm-hmm. and they're gonna paint something of me.
Yeah.
Why? What do you think it's doing for people?
Well, I mean, when I first started painting, like being a muse, there's like it's such a cool feeling to be a muse for someone, where someone creates art out of you, whether that's songwriting, poems, like physical art, photography, whatever. It just feels good. And I think that's the initial draw. But then I sent a welcome email where I want people to feel comfortable. I've gotten super modest images to like super erotic images. So like, I think it's a way for people to see their bodies differently. 'Cause like, it's a very impressionist style painting. So it's not like my canvases are like realism, like you can see everything, but I try to make this like a loose interpretation. So like any insecurity that you think you have, you're going to see you, but you're not going to see those insecurities. And it's just, yeah, it's funny because like I'm so rigid as a painter and I'm trying to unlearn that too and try to be more, you know, accepting of flaws. And I read this book called Wabi Sabi, which is basically the philosophy that there's beauty in imperfection.
Totally.
And that's like where Sorry Dad, where I'm trying to like deconstruct everything I was taught about art and, you know, my body and all that stuff and just not give a fuck.
Yeah. Well, I love the idea that people could see their body, because that's, I think, everybody I think has some mental conversation about like things they wish they were different with their own body. So I feel like that's actually an interesting angle to look at it, where maybe it's giving people a different lens to see their bodies and give them that confidence to be happy with like who they actually are.
And I didn't even think the sending of nudes was like I swear I like maybe have sent like something on Snapchat a few times over my 20s, but when I saw all these women, all these different body types, all these different types of women, even men sending me nudes, I was like empowered. I was like, I'm about to all the boys I've loved before, like you get a nude, like, so like it empowered me, like seeing them pull that inspiration from me. I got to pull that inspiration from them and be like, well, do I love myself too? Wow. Yeah. What a concept.
What percentage would you say are men submitting photos?
Like 3%.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I appreciate it, but they come to me first and there's an open dialogue. Like they don't want to startle me. They don't want to, like, they're like, what kind of images do you want? And I'm like, whatever makes you feel empowered, like nothing will faze me, I swear. And, but they're very respectful about it. And I think, I get some like unsolicited dick pics, but very few in my DMs, but I don't really open those. Like if you want a nude, it's on my website. You got to pay for it. But I started doing it through the DMs where I was like, if you want a nude, just DM me. And, it was too hard to handle. I was like, I got to make this a website thing and like have there be like a flow.
Yeah. Damn, that's
crazy.
That's fucking dope. Never in a million years would I imagine.
My dad's probably at home like, what the fuck what do we pay for college for?
What do the parents think? Do they care?
No, they as long as I'm paying the bills and it's successful, they're pop culture fans, so they're not. I wasn't raised in like a conservative household or anything, but
yeah. When you were popping around, just out of curiosity, after college, I know you said you went to New York, but was there 3 other cities that you went to?
Yeah, so I moved to New York, and then I moved to Florida for that choreography gig.
Yep.
Then I moved back.
What part of Florida was that?
Port St. Lucie, which is like 45 minutes north of West Palm Beach.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, not the best place, but you know, you make it work.
Yeah, make it work.
And then I went back to New York, went back to Phoenix for a year. Then back to New York, and then LA.
Why LA?
Because I had always wanted to live here, and
since you were a kid, or what? Like
since I was a kid, yeah. I used to come to camp in Malibu every summer, like sleepaway camp.
That's pretty baller.
Yeah, and I was like,
quick summer camp in Malibu.
Yeah, like all these. I was like this girl from Phoenix who like literally hadn't seen anything that was any sort of risque, and then I go to this camp in Malibu with and I'm like, these girls. I wrote my mom being like, I'm scared. Like, come pick me up. And then by the end of the summer, I'm like, these are my bitches.
Oh, my God.
So I wanted to move here. And I was seeing a guy at the time too, and I was deciding between Austin, San Fran, and LA, and like it was kind of like a pull. But
And how long have you been in LA now?
almost 5 years. So
Overall, has it been good?
never felt happiness like this in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
The people.
everything.
The people, like, well, when you find your people, when you find like, I've never felt like a love like this for friends before. Like, no hate to all the friends I grew up with, but like,
No shade.
no shade. But like these, I don't know. I learned so much about myself and like other people and, you know, the weather and fun.
The weather's fucking great.
Yeah.
The fact that we can do literally anything all year
year.
round. I mean, I'm coming from, Phoenix is clear, or, Scottsdale, Phoenix, it's great weather. Obviously, it gets hot as shit probably in the summertime, but coming from Massachusetts, dealing with the winter, like I was out working out today without a shirt on and I got sunburned, and that's not happening in October, Massachusetts. Like you're wearing hoodies, you're wearing hella layers.
Yeah.
So the weather is dope. It's just incredible out here. Did it take you a bit of time to like find the right community when you first got out here? Did you, because you said you had the boy out here. Did you know anyone else or?
The man,
sorry.
yeah, I mean, I don't even remember him anymore. It's been so long. But
Moving on.
yeah, my life was him. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't really have many friends because of it. And when we broke up, it was this chaotic explosion of
Not fun.
yeah. I moved to the west side from Pasadena, and I went to the gym one.
Two different worlds.
I know. This guy was a lot older than me, so he had like his life in Pasadena, and I was like, this is LA, like this is.
Oh yeah, that's.
And then I moved to Santa Monica. I was like, this is LA.
Oh yeah. Pasadena's beautiful if
Yeah.
you're ready to have kids and like keep it low key, but that's
Not today.
so
I was
different
a
worlds.
kid when I moved there. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But then I moved to the west side, and I went to the gym one day with one of my friends I worked with, and he brought this girl, Steffi. Hi, Steffi. And I remember looking at her and being like, you're too pretty to be my friend. I was like, is this what people look like over here? And she was so warm and welcome. She got my phone number. She wanted to hang out. And I was like, what? Like me? I was so insecure at that point. Like that relationship beat me down. I was like, I met her and I just like got this really amazing group of friends. And it just kind of, birds of a feather flock together. It just expanded to like this massive community of amazing people here now. I can't.
It takes time to find that.
For sure.
I mean, I just hit 3 years in LA, and I feel like I'm now just. I also neglected that area of my life for a while, where it was just like business. Like everything was always, for the first 2.5 years living in LA, everything was calculated. It was either driving Uber, or it was podcasting with people, or it was like going to this party because I knew there's people going to be there that I was going to be able to potentially podcast with. But now in the last 6 months, it's like going to things with no expectation and to go there to just solely enjoy LA.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, it is that like survival mode. It's like,
Totally.
you don't never know what this opportunities can fall anywhere here. And so I get that. Like we're all hustling and maybe not have the best intentions at first, but we're all just doing the best with what we have at the time. But when you find your people, when you're comfortable in your job, it's just like effortless, I find.
Totally. One topic I've been hitting on, and we'll go into it now because we kind of just segued from it, is dating. That's one thing I've been hitting a lot in these recent podcasts. Oh God. What's the status for Cali Rock?
Oh my God.
Single, seeing.
Oh my God.
Feeling out the LA market. What's the hot take?
Not only am I not even talking to a guy right now, but like I'm not even like, I don't even have one in mind that I want to talk to. I just like ended this like year-long super toxic thing with a much younger boy.
So the boy came in.
Yeah.
A boy.
That was the boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Got rid of a man, found a boy, chaos. Like I really got to find the average. Like there's got to be a happy medium of a guy my age. But no, I had a lot of fun with that dude, but my fault for even dabbling in that age range. But yeah, nobody. Absolutely nobody. I'm worried. I'm at that point where like, am I ever going to feel anything for anyone again? I don't think I will, but challenge accepted.
Oh, why was it toxic though? Anything specific?
I went into it thinking like, okay, he was 21 at the time. He just turned 21 and I was just about to turn 30. And I was like, oh, something that could be fun. Like he's like super playful. I'm super playful. I love to dance. He's a dancer. It was like super fun. And I'm a Scorpio. So I'm either.
Women love this shit.
I'm either completely indifferent or obsessed. And I tried my hardest to find a medium.
Yeah.
Could not do it. In the beginning, I was like, okay, this is great. I feel nothing for this kid, but like have a great time. And then I was like, I was like, one day I was like, fuck. And it's funny because he went away for a while at the end of last year, and and then in January I was like, you know what? This doesn't feel good for me anymore. I'm done. And then he was like, I get it. Totally fine. Whatever. We were fine. And then 2 days later, he's like, can I come over? And I'm like, yes. And that was basically that dynamic where it's like, I got to step away from this. And he's like, but can we talk? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. Yeah. Like I'm done. And so that's where we are now. We're amicable, but like, no, you can't come over.
You might get a text after this goes live.
I got a text yesterday.
Wow. You shoot it down?
I just, send him an emoji.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. What's, here's a little thing. Most of the people that listen to this podcast are men.
Oh, hello. So
there's a lot of men listening to this podcast. I probably should give a little bit of a preference on that before, just to let you know that there's a very high skewing male demographic listening. So especially it's been interesting to have women on the podcast. I mean, you're the second one, so I can't speak that there's been plenty of women. Mm-hmm. But it's one angle when I've been talking to other guys about like their dating in LA or whatever, just in general. Mm-hmm. But I always think it's interesting getting the woman's perspective because guys are like fucking jotting notes down.
Yeah.
What's in your personal views, what is a turn on and what is a turn off in somebody else?
Oh man. Turn on intelligence and passion for something other than me. But like that would be nice.
Need the passion for you, but also you want them to be intelligent and passionate about something else as well.
Yeah, I want them to like. It's funny because as I shifted my life into this art world, I'm like I don't think I could date. I don't want an ordinary life. I don't want the life that I thought I had to have. Like maybe that's what happens. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have literally no preference of where my life's going. I'm just seeing what happens. But it's like, I feel like I need to date a creative, but then I realize I've done that and it's like not a good mix. I don't know. I have no type. Everyone I've dated has been infinitely different than the other. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I'm looking for in terms of, I feel like, and with dating apps, it's hard because, I really need to feel someone's energy, and like men aren't the best at selling themselves on dating apps. And like, I'm sure I'd be like obsessed with one of them, but like, I can't tell that from this point of view. So like, and Corona's made it difficult to just like be around people, but,
well, men like to put up a front.
Yeah.
They like to like play fucking Mr. Hardball.
Yeah.
And it's just not like.
I think one thing I learned, especially from this younger guy, which was the opposite of my older ex. I love when people can balance their masculine energy with their feminine energy. Cause like we have both. And I think when you suppress the feminine energy, not that you have to be like metro or like whatever, it's just, the softer side of a man's personality is like really endearing.
Yeah.
And I think, you're taught not to
share
share it.
Yeah.
And I just love when people do.
From your experience, do you think that is a problem for most men, that they just are too scared to like open up and like share things that are actually on their mind? I feel
like my masculine energy is pretty, in the forefront of my personality. And I think there becomes this like competition, at least in my mind, where I feel like I'm not emasculating them, but I feel like I'm not, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I don't play the normal role of a female all the time. Like I don't like having help with anything, and I know men love to help, like with like physical things. I don't know.
Let me get that for you. Let me help you out.
Yeah, like I should really just help like delegate things. I don't know, but I don't know. I used to look for someone to complete me, and now I feel like I know who I am now, and I have no idea how anyone else is going to fit in that picture, but I'm excited to find out who it is.
Totally.
But like I don't know. I don't have any preference or anything really. You just
go with the
good
flow.
Vibes.
You have enough to focus on in your day to day with what you want to do.
Yeah.
That it has to kind of perfectly mix in and not. That's just such a beautiful position to be in. And that's the beautiful thing about the people that I've met through podcasting are just on a different wave than normal population. And even I'm sure the people that you are surrounded by in LA are probably creative, successful, like they're passionate. They're not following like the path that a lot of people will follow. So your world is around that all the time. And so it's just naturally part of your world. But even go back to like when you were in the corporate world, like that wasn't a mindset. Like
I don't even know that girl.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. So it's like the perspective of the way you see the world is so much influenced by the people that you're around. And then I think that energy ends up helping you because it's giving you the confidence to continue to pursue art or whatever that passion is. But all that to say as well, you're going to need, and this is, I'm speaking to myself as well, you're going to need somebody that's super passionate about something so that when you're head down, fucking going crazy on this art, they're not trying to pull you away because like, yo,
or they don't understand
they're your hype
why.
Man.
Yeah,
they're your hype man. They want to see you crush it. They're giving you that boost of energy. Like, yo, keep crushing that shit.
And there's a difference between like, because I feel like I've dealt with this dynamic before. There's a difference between being in awe of what I do or like supportive of what I do and understanding what I do and the process of it. And I'm going to have to be with someone who understands the process of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And how it's exhausting, honestly. Like, not just coming up with the concepts, but actually physically executing it is exhausting.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Like, after that Kehlani one, I was in bed for 4 days straight because my back was, like, fucked up. But
so other than the Kehlani Will Smith, do you have any, like, favorite pieces that you've done that have meant the most to you? Obviously tough to say.
Oh, yeah. I did this one... it was inspired by a guy who was an artist, a singer, and I don't know why I did that. Nobody
saw it, don't worry. It's only
true.
audio. That's the best part of no visual. They can't see us.
But it was a weird time in my life. I found him on Spotify and I was like in love with his voice and his music. And I found him on Instagram and I just followed him. And honestly, I was like, okay, like average looking dude, whatever. And then we started DMing each other and I was like, And then I became obsessed with him because I have no self-control. And then it was this weird toxic thing for like a very long time. He lived in another country and then he ended up coming to LA and yada, yada, yada. But basically I was so mentally distraught from him by the end of it. It was such an emotional roller coaster for me. He was the type of guy that would like love bomb me and then disappear for 7 days and be like, I love missing someone. And I'm like, I'm distraught, sir. But anyways, I was like, oh, artists, they're so funky, like whatever. And then I remember sitting down and I'm like, I need to paint something just because that's my happy place and I need to heal from this. I need to find a way to just kind of like vomit it onto something so I don't have to think about it ever again. So I thought of this one concept and I was like, okay, I have to commit to the concept because basically what I have to do is I have to go through every message he ever sent me and I have to write down really ones that really affected me.
For good or for worse?
Yeah. All of the good stuff he ever said to me was actually manipulation to me because like he would say, I'm a words of affirmation person. So he would say all these things, but act the opposite. So I'm like, what the actual fuck? Because I believe everything. I believe everything that anyone ever says to me. Don't use that against me. But so basically I found all these messages he sent me and I, in red writing, wrote them on the back of the canvas, all of them, behind this girl who had her hands around her neck.
Oh, I saw that. I've seen that.
Yeah,
that
so
one.
that's representing like I had my own hands around my neck because I knew what I was doing. I knew that wasn't me, and that's my friend Sarah. But like I knew that this was a toxic situation, and I still continued to stay in there. So like I had the power to leave. It's called power over me because like those words literally just. So that one means a lot to me. I don't know if I'll ever sell it, but like I want to sell it, but like it would have to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool that you can take situations. Obviously, that's not a situation you want to be in or deserve to be in, but to see the opportunity and like the feeling and that emotion, and then find a way to actually creatively create something that represents that moment in your life.
That's I wrote this thing that got shared a lot over the internet the other day. It's funny. I was at a party and some guy brought it up and I was like, I wrote that. And it was this thing that said, use your art to heal what's broken, but don't break yourself in order to create. Because there's this fine line where I feel like with this young kid from the last year, like I remember every time I'd feel super down about it, I'm like, I'm gonna make really cool art out of it, and I stayed in it for so long.
Yeah,
and it takes over your brain. But I feel like at points I'm like masochistic. I'm like, I'm doing it for the art or whatever. So I have to
you're rationalizing.
Yeah, I'm definitely rationalizing staying, and it's this weird like need to like get to places like that. But I gotta stop doing. But like I haven't learned. So
you live and you learn.
It's funny. I made these 3 paintings over the last few months. And one was in the depth of like the day after I had a mental breakdown about this dude. And then a couple was like, I don't give a fuck about him stage where I just like was super indifferent. And then one when I was like healed from it. And like you could see the difference between all 3 paintings. And I was like, wow, that was a fun little journey.
There's 3 different emotions, a little bit
Never
of
doing that again.
Yeah, there's a little bit of roller coaster.
Yeah.
I'm just super curious, like the process. So you're gaining inspiration for these pieces of art through emotions that are happening in your life. I would imagine anything that's happening in the world, or maybe music. But like you have that moment and it clicks. What's kind of like your process for creating? Is it like you feel the inspiration, then you'll spend 12 hours straight and go into it? Or do you try to like treat what you do like a job in the sense of like, you want to commit from noon till 8 p.m. tomorrow where you're head down just so you like force yourself to show up? Like what's the creative process for you?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Discipline is hard. But I've learned about myself that I get all these crazy ideas and these visions in my head of what I want to do, whether it's a canvas or whether, like, I don't know if you saw this like video I made once where I get these ideas.
Dance one?
The one, no, not the
Cardi
walk,
B
not
one?
the walk.
You fucking crushed that.
Oh, thank you. I was like, I knew my dance training would come back for me.
I don't know how you put your leg that high up. My shit would fucking break.
They stretch you from a young age.
There it is.
But I did this one video thing where I was listening to a song, which is where a lot of my art comes from. And I envisioned my friend Dominic, and we were in like a warehouse and I was painting and he was dancing. I didn't have a storyline around it, but I called my director friend Ryan and Dominic, and I was like, my friend Dominic was like, calm down. Just like explain your thought. And I'm like, okay, can we do it? And they're like, yes, calm down, we'll do it. And 3 months later, we like did this whole video concept thing that just had no purpose other than to create something cool. But usually when I get an idea, I need to do it right then and there. And if I don't do it right then and there, I'll get over the idea. So if I don't work fast enough, I'll like lose inspiration. And then that's when I get in this vicious circle of not doing anything.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad helps, because like it's a consistent creative outlet. Paintings are like, it's just so much physical work, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah. Well, do you ever feel like, one, I love that idea where you think of something and you're like, you tell yourself you have to go do it, because I think sometimes I've done it in my own work where I see through the piece or the vision of like some podcasts that I do like solo, and I'm like not confident with it. And I'm like, one thing that I've always done to myself, even with guest podcasts, like somebody's asked me like, have you ever like had a guest where the conversation just was like so bad that you didn't put it out? I was like, no, I've always put out every podcast, even if I didn't think it was great. Respecting people's time, they took the time to be part of it. I'm gonna put it out. But I also feel like there's so much importance in following through, even though it might not be your best work, even though it might not be your favorite piece. There's something about that consistency and that discipline of like following it straight through, pushing it out and then moving on, because it's like, one, you don't know how people are going to react to it, and you're going to learn something from doing it. So are you ever like in the process and you're like, fuck, I do not want to do this? So
as a kid, whenever I'd paint, I remember the feeling of, I fucking hate this. I fucking hate what I made. I remember like throwing tantrums in art classes when I was like 6, being like, I hate this. Well, I was just so judgmental of everything I did. And I'm still super hard on myself, where I'm like, I have this feeling like every painting that comes out next has to be infinitely greater than the last one. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It just has to be a part of, my journey through whatever this is. I don't even have a plan. And so there's this one painting I'm starting this week where, I feel like I always need to like have the concept done in my head before I start but it keeps me from starting. So what I realize is like, I don't know how this one's going to end up, but I just have to start. That's my problem. But you're right. Like I just have to get rid of that whole like it needs to be the best thing ever.
Yeah. Well, I think it's never gonna be the best thing ever. I think there's always gonna be projects that you feel really confident about, and then there's gonna be projects where you feel really shitty about. But I feel like just the process of like seeing it through is so much, like it's such a win. Sometimes I forget about it because I get so in my own lane. It took me years to get to this place where like I get inspired by other podcasters or people in like my creative space, but I'm not like worried about them. I'm not like, oh fuck, they're like putting out more content than me. I'm so just like focused on my like lane that I'm just so in it that I get so consistent, and I'm just so fucking disciplined because I won't allow myself to not. But I forget sometimes that in itself is so much of a win, because there are so many people, and even when I was getting into the podcast game, where I was kind of frozen at times, where like I don't fucking know like how to do this, or like it wasn't I didn't have the tools for it, I just wasn't confident enough to actually follow through with it. But it's just like it is so much of success, even for somebody like yourself, where it's like you just picking up the brush and actually showing up that day is the biggest win. And I'm so big on like count up the small wins on a daily basis. Like look for those 2 to 3 small wins that in this moment in time, it seems like it has no impact on you, but count it up over the week, over a month, and then all those little wins just built up to something massive.
I'm literally going to have your voice saying that exact thing in my head this week, because that's the one thing that like I do applaud myself for the little things, but like I forget that it's a process.
Yeah.
And I'm not just going to wake up and finish a painting.
Yeah.
And I keep reminding myself, I was like, I don't know what technique I'm going to use. I don't know, like, am I going to use this medium or this one? And I was like, I'm not going to know until I do it.
Yeah.
Like, I might hate this painting, but at least I know I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
And I've been bad at that, but I'll be better.
Yeah. Yeah. I really do believe it's always like a work in progress, but you can almost rewire your brain into seeing things differently.
For sure.
Like I specifically will follow certain people, for instance, like somebody like Casey Neistat, videographer.
He reposted
YouTuber.
My quote too.
Really?
Someone came at me like, why'd you steal Casey's quote? I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, that's my fucking quote.
Yeah,
what the fuck? But he's like a great example of somebody that incredibly successful YouTuber, filmmaker. And if you actually watch his YouTube videos, it is the most basic form of the craft, because it's just cuts, it's just edits, it's not fucking crazy transitions, it's not all this like.
Which I love.
That's
the raw.
It's super raw. He recently posted something on Twitter, and I fucking ate it up because I was always curious about this too. He uses, I believe, Final Cut or Adobe Premiere, and all of his videos, his font is Helvetica, I think, and he screenshotted this conversation he was having with somebody. He's like, I don't use Helvetica because I like the text or I think it looks a certain way. I use it because it's the default font on fucking my editing program. And I was like, dude, this is like,
that's it.
This is the art form.
In and of itself, that's a vibe. In and of itself. I think Gen Z is bringing us back to raw.
Yeah.
Like with TikTok, where people are just like throwing up everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes my friends will send me their photos they want to post on Instagram. And I know there's this like trend where people literally just take a photo of like a Cheetos bag and they're like, a vibe or whatever. And my friends will literally text me photos and be like, is this Gen Z enough to post on Instagram? Which means, is this just the rawest form of zero effort, which is a vibe? And I'm like, I love this, because a lot of the times I don't want to paint or do something is because I'm like, fuck, I have to document this. And now that I know Casey does that, I'm just gonna set up a camera and be like, whatever I capture, and then we'll figure it out.
Totally. I think that in itself, and that was something that I did with the old podcast, where I had a buddy of mine who would shoot BTS of everything, and not knowing what we were gonna do with it, or when we would post it, it's just like, what does this even matter? Like documenting the process of these guests coming in, like, what does this really matter? at the end of the day, having that shit documented, whether it's you in your painting process or a meeting or some creative conversation, just having that footage is going to be so valuable in like a year from now, or just because it's like the process of your constant evolution. And so now I go back and I can I don't go back, but if I wanted to go back and be like, what was that day like that I met this guest? I can go back to that footage and see it and like relive it, but then also know that moment in time is forever captured. And I can I've repurposed some of that content before, but
and the people who are watching, like I used to just post the final product of my paintings, but I think the people watching, except like especially people who do podcasts or other artists, seeing the just glimpses of you in your element, like we're already humanized, but like it brings this sense of I can do that too.
Totally.
Like that's the reality of it. I can do it too. And I think I've met a lot of cool artists from all over the country and all over the world, and we kind of bounce ideas off each other. And like, you know, I don't know. I think I paint because I love to paint. I love to make pretty things, but like to inspire other people to quit their jobs and paint. So like we need more people like you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think, yeah, I don't know.
How would you, and this is something I should have asked earlier, but I'm curious, and I would imagine if somebody made it this far and they don't know who Cali Rock is, you probably looked her up on Instagram if you fucking made it this far, because we've talked about a lot about painting, but how would you describe to somebody like your work?
Oh.
There's so much hesitation in that.
I know, it's because, you know, the one thing I've struggled with is like, I don't have a thing yet. I don't know what my thing is. Like I went from painting these portraits of girls in black and white with like bright colors, backgrounds. Then I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I hate color. So I'm going to take all the color out. So the last few big paintings are all black and white. I did this self-portrait a year ago for my 30th in black and white. And I was like, okay, black and white's my thing. And then over this past year, I've been doing this like different technique with like palette knives. And I don't know what my thing is yet. Like I dabble in realism because it showcases a talent that I have. It's very hard to do and honestly not that enjoyable of a process. But like the end result, I'm like, oh, that feels good. I did that, like sort of thing. But I definitely think throughout everything, there will always be a common theme of like women empowerment. Like except for that one video I did, all my muses have been women. There's always like some female form, whether it's a line drawing, an actual person, like a figure of some sort. There's always like the female body. I used to be the type of person growing up, I literally said, I don't think a woman should be president because we're too emotional, we're too hormonal. And I'm taking that from personal experience, being like, I'm crazy. I was gaslighting everything about myself as a woman, whether it was emotionally, sexually, everything. I was like, the internalized misogyny was rampant in my own self. And I've worked really hard to like unlearn all of that. And I think I want my art to touch that part of me always. Yeah. So like I'll paint men. I have no problem painting men, but there's something about a woman that I just like, I go to bed every night praying I wake up lesbian, but it's not happening. But
maybe one day it'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've dabbled, but like,
maybe that'll be the clip that I use on social media. Cali Rock new podcast. I go to sleep every night waking up wishing I wake up a lesbian.
I mean, I do. There's this one girl. I don't even know if she listens to this. I don't even know she'll know that I'm talking about her. But like, I don't know. I like feel things, not just like physically, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's a thing. Dad, I hope you're listening. Sorry, Dad. So we'll see. I'll update you. Maybe we'll do a recap.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think, even just mindsets of who I was 10 years ago and the way I saw the world. Like when I was in college, I thought corporate America. I thought that was like my fucking dream. And like, I got to have the suits. I got to have the BMW. I need a Rolex. Like that's sick set. Yeah. Like, so it's crazy how much we as humans evolve. And I actually have weirdly so much, I was thinking about this a lot when all this Black Lives Matter shit was really starting to pop up, because I grew up in an environment in a high school. I went to high school with blacks, Ukrainians, Russians, Muslim. I mean, I went to a very diverse high school, so it was just like, obviously in those history classes, you're learning about past times of America, and it just feels like so far long ago that I'm like it's never going to happen again, right?
I'm still trying to wrap my mind around
totally.
this. Yeah.
But I weirdly I have so much empathy for the people that are on the other side of the fence for the Black Lives Matter, because what I see in them are people that were just, they're products of where they were raised and the lessons and the values that they were taught. So like if I'm realistic and I'm like, okay, well, what if I was raised in their environment? There's always those outliers that like they're raised in an environment, but they know it's like, this is not right, or they go down a different path. But there's a lot of majority of people that are the products of that environment. And so I just think we sometimes like, we see people for who they are, and we disagree with what they stand for, which I'm for. Like, I think we all are entitled to our own opinions, but sometimes we have to like think about, why do they think that way? And not saying you have to be best friends with them, but like understand like they're solely a product of their environments, which all that goes to say is like the environment you were raised in maybe taught you those lessons, or, you know, things that I thought was the success because I was in high school and everyone's telling me like, I'm going to college and I'm going to climb this corporate ladder. I'm like, yeah, that's what I got to do. Like, I need to do that. That's success. That's what all males are supposed to do, make a lot of money. And then you just get older and you start getting exposed to other realities, and you're like, wait, I actually don't believe in that whatsoever.
That's why I think like, I look back on like growing up in Phoenix, and you know, that it's a different world even from LA, but I think that's the importance of travel, whether it's, even if it's just in this country. Like, I'm sure if I went to, you know, these states that I, you know, subconsciously judge the population of because of politics usually, I'm sure I would meet amazing people with those differing views. But like, I don't see those people, or I am not around them, so I just blanket statements over everyone. And I've had to check myself this year with, you know, getting overwhelmed by the polarization of like everything. But I do have empathy. It's just I get frustrated.
No, I feel you. I'm not justifying and saying like have empathy and not say anything and not stand up for what you have to say. But
there's a way to do it with grace.
But don't allow yourself to emotionally get so fucking like fired up. Where it's like they don't deserve to get you emotionally to that level. Like, to always keep it within control. And still stand for what you believe in and still share your voice. But always remembering like, I know where, like, I get it.
But the only way to get through to those people, not that you have to change their minds, but just to let them know how you digest things, is you got to approach it with grace. Like, I think liberals especially, like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's this idea that we're a lot smarter than people who vote from certain states or something. And then there's this condescending nature that comes with that territory. And I'm like, if we just approached every conversation with more of an open mind, because like even as liberals, like, we're supposed to be the tolerant left or whatever, but like, are we? And I catch myself every day being like, bitch, chill. But this year's tough. I need this election to be over.
I know.
And I need Biden to win.
Well,
I know we're not gonna get political, but
we won't go too much down that rabbit hole. I wish I knew the quote, but I think there's a bit about Oprah where she taught, and this was I think years ago, but she talks about the importance of being open-minded and being able to have a conversation with somebody that you completely disagree with, and how I think she says something along the lines that every time she goes into a conversation with somebody that she knows she doesn't like is polar opposite of her, she says she tries to leave that conversation with, oh, I never thought of it that way, or like trying to see things from a different lens and at least allow her to put herself in their shoes and see where they're coming from for whatever they might be talking about.
I think that's important too. And I've had a lot of practice talking about this stuff within my own family. And, you know, those are people you're programmed to love. So it's a good lesson for me to be like, if I don't find if I don't find that perspective, if I don't understand where they're coming from, I'm going to end up hating my family, and I can't do that. So like that's a good lesson for me.
Yeah.
Super fun times.
The family. Well, it's interesting because I was just back visiting family in July, and I see majority of my family twice a year at this point, being on the other side of the country. But when you're growing up, most of my family, like, they didn't really talk. I mean, my direct family doesn't talk about politics, but
same.
Even outside of that, uncles and aunts or whatever, when you're growing up, it's not really a conversation. It's like, how's high school? How's college? Like, nobody's asking about your political view. And then as you get older and you start to hear these conversations more and you start to take note, and you're like, I'm not generalizing this person, but I never knew that's what you thought. And then it's like, oh.
It's funny because I was raised in a super Republican household, not conservative values, but more just like, fiscally conservative or whatever. But I would vote Republican, and I would be like vocally Republican. And then, I got out into the world and I was like, absolutely the fuck not. I am not I can respect those views, and I think the coexistence of Republicans and Democrats having conversations is like a beautiful thing. And then there's this administration, but we don't have to get into that. But I'm just trying to convince my family. I was like, you can wear that name tag proud as a Republican. You can keep that, but you don't have to support this administration. But I digress.
I love it. You're very confident. You don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck. I come at my family every fucking day. It's exhausting. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad and Kyle, but get your shit together. Jesus.
What's been one of the biggest learnings for you since COVID? Especially March, April, and I would argue May were probably it was true lockdown. Like for the most part, when I think back to when this shit really hit the fan, going to the grocery store, line out the door, they're only letting 20 people at a time. There was never toilet paper. I literally felt like I was living in one of those movies, like where the world is ending, and I was like, this is actually my reality. So it was fucking gnarly. And then those first like 8 to 10 weeks were like, it was true lockdown. It was a lot of downtime, a lot of time to like think and see myself inward and ask myself questions. So I'm curious how this overall quarantine has been like for you. And I feel like the last 3 months, it's kind of, things are somewhat back to normal, but overall, what's it been like for you?
Well, if you ask any of my friends, I'm the person, like, if I'm ever alone, people are like, is she okay? Like, I'm always doing something social. I'm always with people. Like, it's almost to a codependent nature with my friends. It's like, we're always sleeping at each other's houses. Like, we're never alone. And it's been like that for a few years now. And even the first 3 weeks of quarantine, I spent 3 weeks at my friend Paisley's house, like sharing a bed, like, we're like, ooh, this is like a fun little like quarantine thing. We thought it was going to be like a month. And I was like, maybe I should go home. So I went home.
They were giving tickets out at one point in LA. Like, it was like pretty gnarly. It was like, you can't be out.
Yeah. So we were like, we might as well like do this together.
Yeah. Respect.
And then I left, I went home, and then, I'm alone with my thoughts. And then, so I meet up with my friend Allie, and then Allie and I are together for a month. I go down to her parents' house in PV. She's up at my place. Like, we're not separating. And then I'm like, it's just a weird time because, like, if people, everyone's living a different life now. So I can't just like call my group of friends. We're not going to go meet at the waterfront. We're not going to go to like house party. Well, we do a little bit. But then I moved out and I got my own place by myself, and I was like, okay, I have to figure out how to be alone. Not only for my mental health, but like my career. Like, I have to not avoid painting to miss out on like it, to like go to social things or whatever, like with my friends. Like,
well, you're saying you would pick painting so you would.
I would not paint for fear of missing out.
Totally.
And I was like, this is my life now. This has been my life. And I think COVID has taught me that, we are kind of in it. Like, all we have is ourselves. And I think I didn't really look within because of all of the social distractions and partying all the time. And now I had to calm down, and I had to kind of like figure out what is going to make me happy that didn't rely on everyone else. And I cannot tell you how much joy being alone brings me now. Like, I have to convince myself to go out and do things, but I never regret doing those things. But
Do you love being alone because there's always something you want to do? Whether it's like working on a piece of art, watching a documentary, reading a book, listening to music, like, or is it just like you're just comfortable with?
I think now I'm just comfortable not needing, someone near me. Right now I get in these really deep political rabbit holes on the internet, which I gotta get out.
We gotta cut that.
Yeah.
No more.
We're not gonna do that.
You leave today, you go.
Yeah,
I'm leaving politics behind.
I know. I need to put my phone down and paint, but like I get that is another problem. But
I respect that though.
Yeah.
Because you're stepping up and you're vocalizing how you feel. So it's like I respect people that can do that. It's similar to that the Black Lives Matter post that you had that went viral. Very similar. It's like,
which is funny. People came at me for that who are on my own side. So it's crazy. If you read the comments, they're pretty savage.
Is it?
I had to stop reading the comments for my that week. I remember calling my friend Jules, who works in PR. I was like, when is this going to stop? She's like, give it 48 hours. Then a week later, I'm like, when is it going to stop?
How did it? Why? Well, this is obviously a stupid question to ask because you don't even probably know. But was there a certain person that reposted it, or just?
I don't know who the first. I remember I posted at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. I woke up the next
8 p.m. on a Tuesday.
I woke up the next day and it had 1,000 shares, and I'm like, that's pretty crazy. And that day I went to a protest from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I didn't even look at my phone. I kept it in my backpack the whole day. And the protest ended, it had 50,000 shares. So it was really, and then E! News posted it, Khloe Kardashian posted it, Viola Davis, Emma Watson.
Reposted it?
on their feeds. Well, actually Chloe's was on her story,
shit.
but I was shaking in my, I was shaking because I always, everyone wants to be famous, but I've never had that many eyes on me. And it was I thought it was for just a human rights movement, but then it became a political thing. And people on my own side were coming at me saying I'm enabling white people, or all in angles I didn't think were possible. And I'm just it's scary. And that's why I was silent for a long time. And then I started coming out more with politics vocally recently. And I regret it every day, but I'm I'm so passionate about it. I need to say something, but I'm terrified, and I got to find the balance.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking gnarly though.
It's crazy. It has almost 300,000 shares now.
Yeah, I definitely was one of those for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy because you don't know how your words can impact people, and then it just goes at scale.
And it's crazy that the reason I wrote it is because a bunch of my friends had said the same exact thing for the most part. I don't know, I'm not doing anything because I feel what I'm gonna do is wrong. And I'm you just have to do something. Yeah. And then I guess everyone's feeling like that.
Wow. There was something I was asking about and I don't remember now because that just took me down a rabbit hole.
Being vocal about politics is scary.
You don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
That's so fire.
My parents probably hate me.
That's so fire. How would you define ladylike?
Not giving a fuck. Because, it's not the only definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, but it's one of the ones listed, lacking in strength. And I remember...
How's that okay? How are they okay with that?
It's deeply ingrained in the patriarchy, I think. I think men probably wrote it. Did you see I posted a comment yesterday? I don't know if you're on my close friends list, but I'll add you.
Please add.
I commented on my friend Allie's post. She's making fun of her friend's boyfriend in her caption. And I jokingly wrote, "Men are trash. Wait, what?" And because I told my friend Allie, I was I need to stop saying men are trash because it's becoming part of my psyche. And I'm then I'm judging people and I got to step back a little. But I wrote that as a joke. And the comment got removed 3 times for hate speech. That's all I said. Men are trash. And
what?
I took a screenshot, I put it on my story, and I was a man wrote this algorithm, didn't they? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's actually gnarly.
So I'm trying to, with this next series of paintings, I'm trying to redefine ladylike, and I'm already shooting girls naked, but it's not going to be anything you'll see. I don't really know how to describe. I don't really know exactly how it's going to turn out, but I have a vision that I want, and I want to highlight these women. And I have. I was gonna make it political, and I might still do that, but we'll see. I feel I need to make a statement, but I also want to be timeless and saleable. So we'll see.
Yeah, you got to find the balance because you want people to come through.
I'm still a businesswoman at the end of the day, but I might do some political like accent pieces. So not the main 6-foot pieces, but like have some accent canvases with some shit on them.
Yeah, that's fire.
We'll see.
That's fire. Is there any area in your life in which you need to put more effort into, or you want to put more effort into?
What you said earlier, I just need to do it. I just need to stop making excuses or overthinking or thinking that it's like I'm not going to do well or whatever. I need to wake up earlier in the day. I wake up at like 9:30, but I want to wake up at like 7.
It's all relative. Well, okay, so
but I go to bed at like 3.
Give me an average day. What your day looks like.
I wake up at like 9:30-ish.
What's the first thing? In the first hour? What do you do?
I'm on my phone.
Cut that shit.
I know.
First 3 hours of my day, no phone.
I know. Continue I need to do that. Then I make celery juice.
Okay.
And I drink that, and then I work out.
Okay.
And then depends whether I have like back end sorry dad stuff or like things I need to take care of, or I'll like sit with my iPad and do the nudes. And then painting is not a consistent thing, but I with this next series, I want to have a certain number of hours of the day that I paint. But I like to paint like in the middle of the night, which then it fucks up the next day, and it's just like.
Oh, because you're up too late. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you're saying you get up usually 9:30 every morning, and then what time do you usually average go to sleep? Midnight, 1,
like
2?
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all relative.
Yeah. I'm still sleeping a normal amount, I guess.
Yeah. I would push. Well, it's hard too because it depends on what you do.
Any tips?
The not looking at phone and social media is a game changer.
That takes hours out of my day, especially in the political climate now. Every platform.
I'm telling you right now, first 3 hours of my day, no texts, no social media. Literally, it's all about me for the first 3 hours of my day. So wake up, work out, shower, meditate, have breakfast, read a book for 30 minutes, and then I'll check social media. And at that point, it's been like 3 hours.
I just have this like weird feeling all the time of like,
what if
someone needs me? Not if I'm missing out, but like, what if someone needs me, or if they have an opportunity and I don't answer them? I'm like, if I'm not always on call, am I gonna like miss something? But yeah, I'm missing out, I guess.
I get that.
Like that Will Smith thing. If I didn't respond right away, I would have missed it because I needed to get them an answer.
So it's a balance. I think you have to keep your head on a swivel. Recently, one thing I did and has been really helpful is I intentionally didn't have Instagram notifications on my phone because I didn't want to get blown up all the time.
Best thing to do ever. I turned them off for Black Lives Matter thing.
But I turned the DMs on because I was finding myself rationalizing, check the social because you got to see if you have any DMs. And there might be
You can do that?
Yeah, you can. I just have only DMs and only primary DMs.
Yeah, not general.
Yeah. So that's helped me because now I'm not rationalizing to check the app more. That was always like, I don't need to see what's going on in the world, but like it might be a DM.
Yeah.
It might be like an opportunity of a lifetime. And ever since that turned that on, I wake up.
That's genius.
If there's no notification from Instagram.
Yeah, nothing
worried.
important will happen in the comments.
Followers or it's comments.
Yeah.
But
do you have TikTok?
I have TikTok, but I haven't.
Don't go on it. It's a trap.
It is a trap. Yeah.
I lose days of my life.
I get it. I see it happen, and I'm just like, I'm a very aware person. So like, I'll be on it for 10 minutes, and I go, I see what this is.
Wow, you have some discipline that I am jealous of.
Yeah, but it's if I can do it, you can do it. It took me time to like do this, like to like train myself or to like, I don't want to say be woke, but like to keep constantly. Well, I think a lot of it comes to time management, and I learned that skill through Uber because I mean, time is money no matter what. But literally with Uber, it was like time is money for not driving. So I was always assessing things and what I was doing, and like, was I in a rabbit hole because I was working, or was I just watching YouTube videos when I should be at work, like actually driving? So I think time management was a pillar that was really important for me to like being aware of what I'm doing. Meditation for sure.
Yeah.
Constantly like assessing the thoughts that I'm telling myself, which then ultimately dictate my perspective of my world, where it's like you have consistent income. You're working on like there's just so many good things that are happening. It's so easy
Game
to like
changer.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's just been something that I've been working on for a long time, and it's taken me. I would say at the end of the day, meditation has been a game changer.
Yeah.
4 years strong.
I started dabbling at the beginning of quarantine, but I definitely need to get back into it.
I recommend it to everybody. First, there's apps. There's all different apps. 10 minutes a day. I do it right after I shower. So it's like I wake up, the first thing I do is work out, so it like gets the blood flowing for the day.
Gotta get that out of the way, yeah.
Feels good, allows me to like clear my mind and just get a good workout in. And then after I shower, before I like shift gears into work for the day, it allows me to like shift that gear through the meditation, and it's like 10 minutes. And it allows me to just set great intention for the day. Because there's even days where I wake up and I feel groggy, or my mind's thinking about other things that don't really fucking matter, but it's still in my mind. So I'm like, get this shit out of here. And so the meditation has allowed me to like ground myself, remind myself of gratitude. But I swear that has been the biggest hack in my life.
I think literally tomorrow I'm going to start that, because I think I'm at a point where I am sick of my own shit. I'm sick, and I'm not sick of my own shit. I'm sick of being aware of my own shit and not making moves to, counteract it.
Yeah. Well, you gotta, I think what it comes down to is even when it comes down to like the morning routine aspect, I'm a big preacher of like, it's not about what time you wake up, because I think it's all relative, but it's really about, I think, what do you do within those first 2 to 3 hours of your day, I think can be a game changer.
Yeah.
But everybody's different within that. Cause like maybe the best way for you to wake up is like wake up, have a cup of coffee,
get all your emails out of the way.
Yeah. Like maybe do a little bit of work and then, focus on some other things. So I think similarly, you have to like try these different hacks to find out like what works best for you. And meditation is like anything else. If you do it for a week, you'll be like, oh, cool. You do it for a month. If you stay consistent with it, you're going to be like, wow, this shit really
changed your life. Okay. Noted. I might have an app, teach me the ways in the beginning.
That's what I use the app every day. I use the app every day. It's called, I started off with Headspace, and now I use one called Waking Up.
Okay.
With Sam Harris. I can actually send you a link. They're incredible. I love this platform because one, they offer first 30 days free, which a lot of meditation apps do. But what's super dope about this platform is if you are somebody that cannot afford their app, which I think it's $9 a month, or you can just pay it outright for the year and it ends up being like $7 a month.
Okay.
But they have this program where it's like, if you can't afford our app, send us an email and tell us your situation. We'll give you a full year free. And at that year, if you're in a similar situation or you like can't afford it, we will give you the app. And we'll, So
they actually care.
They actually give a shit.
That's like the antithesis of for profit.
Totally.
Like they actually care about
they actually care.
That means I trust the content that they provide.
And this is what I'm saying. They are so aware, and they know like the short term of like losing $10 is going to be that person's it's going to help them.
Yeah. And imagine you saying this right now. Like I'm not going to like go to them and like try to finagle out of the money because I love them so much. I want to give them my money. And the fact that you say like just that policy will get them money.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's all about the intent. And I think people sometimes think short term versus long term. And I think that I literally have talked about this multiple times on a podcast. So at this point, I'm like literally fucking promoting them. So it's like,
that's why I like with art, I'm not such a stickler on money right now because I feel like I just need to, it'll come.
Totally.
It'll come.
As long as your bills are being paid, you're able to invest in the things you need to buy. If you keep, chugging along and obviously jumping on opportunities, and when you assess it, it's like, wait, this is a great opportunity. It's well worth taking X less or whatever. I feel like it's always, if you can think long play, it's always going to fucking work to your advantage. What, there's going to be, I guarantee you, there's somebody that is listening to this podcast at, this isn't live recorded, but there's going to be somebody to listen to this podcast and for sure deep down inside knows what they really want to do. And they have rationalized why they shouldn't take that leap, or they know it's coming, but it's not the right time yet, which is totally understandable. You got to prepare yourself to take a massive leap. Is there any advice you would give to people, especially you just hit that 1 year since, I love that caption you said, I think
10 out of 10.
Yeah, it was like October 4th. I think you posted it or something. It was like
the 4th, yeah.
1 year since I left my job, 10 out of 10 would recommend. And I was like, that's the fucking energy I love to see. Yeah. But is there any little gems or advice that you would give to people?
Something that I'm very transparent about. I mean, I thought about it for an entire year, whether I wanted to I knew I was always going to leave my job, but I just wasn't sure when. I'm very lucky to have a family. Well, my dad's like, this bitch. But my mom was like, I'll support you. But she agreed. It was actually her idea for me to leave my job.
Wow.
And I had so much faith in myself. I didn't know what it looked like, but I knew it was going to work. I think you have to know that. You have to trust yourself, even if you don't have a plan. I was lucky financially because I didn't make money for maybe besides the Will Smith thing right away, I didn't make consistent money maybe for 7 or 8 months.
Wow.
I had some saved up because I pulled out my 401k and all this stuff. So, financially, I wasn't freaking out. The only I don't want people to be like, okay, if you really hate your job one day, just leave. I don't want people to do that. I'm not going to say this magical thing happened once I did it, but it was really hard. But I knew from the moment I made that decision, not one day did I regret. You just have to know, you just have to trust in your ability. If the financial part is an issue, have a plan. Yeah. Just, figure out how much money you need to sustain you a certain amount of time and just make sure you're set. Yeah. Trust your gut. I would say that's so cliche, but that's all I had to go on. I had no data to say I was going to succeed. Yeah. I just had, luckily stress wise, my parents let me kind of flow through the creativity of it all. Sorry, Dad came out of nowhere. A lot of my paintings came out of nowhere, but they trusted it too, which is good. But. Yeah.
I think you need to do some planning in the sense of realistic, how much money do you have? Or not planning. You need to think through where you're at financially, because clearly there was somebody that recently, Twitter, of course. It's always fucking Twitter. Always fucking Twitter. But there was a producer that had quote tweeted somebody, it was probably a couple months ago, and they were they tweeted at them and it was yo, I'm quitting my job, I got a kid, or I forget what the context was, but the producer was yo, you can't just take a leap like that and just think that tomorrow this is all going to work out, but you need to start edging yourself towards where you want to be, but be realistic about are you financially in a position where you can do that and take that leap? So
finish.
No, please.
I was gonna say it's funny because nothing is guaranteed. Even if you plan as much as you want, no one predicted COVID. Yeah. And people launch businesses right in the beginning of that. Your life can get flipped upside down for the positive or for the negative. I've seen people on TikTok within 1 month, they have 3 million followers just because they promote this one girl, Sienna, it's body positivity and she just blew up overnight. And then I've seen people take the turn for the worst on a whim, just freak accident. So you never know. Yeah. But I don't want to deter anyone. But I just know that,
you really got to fucking believe in yourself.
You really have to. And it's funny because I have so much self-doubt, realistic. Every day I wake up I'm not good enough for this. I don't have my life wasn't hard enough to be in this space. I don't have enough pain to be in this space. I do, but it's all relative, And I think, but ultimately the overarching thing is I believe that I can do this. Day to day, I don't.
So how do you get you through that even on a day to day? Are there any tricks or how do you get yourself out of that funk? Do you just...
All I know, I remember that every time I release a painting, the validation I get from not only people that love me, but people I don't know. I have to remember that I screenshot messages that really fuel me. And one time I made one my background because I was messages from strangers, that really just kind of catapult me forward. And I'm just I I don't know. That keeps me going. I mean, I don't want to like search for validation, but the validation I've gotten is what makes me keep going.
Yeah. Well, because at the end of the day, you're so caught up in the day-to-day, the process, like getting shit done, thinking about the next move, producing this, thinking big term, that I think it's so important to like, and that's why I put so much more time into balance in my life in the last 6 months. And I've seen such an upside because it allows me to step away from the work and separate and give myself space. But then it also allows me time to reflect and think about like where I was not long ago to where I am. And then so the moments where I have those thoughts of like, you're not the best podcast in the world, blah, 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 blah. Like, I just think about, well, where was I 4 years ago? Okay. I graduated business school. I got an email from my graduating class that 99% of my class was enrolled in a full-time career, and I was the fucking 1%. I was an Uber driver. I didn't have any creative experience prior. And then I started like, wait a second, like I build myself up. I'm like hype. Like then I start to use that as fuels. Like if I started from there and I got to where I am here, who is like, I can do anything I want. I can do anything I want if I stay disciplined, consistent, and I just keep plugging away at those like couple wins every day. Yeah. It's like, possibilities are endless.
There is no formula. That's what I've learned. It's like, you didn't even have to go to college, or you didn't have to do these things to get anywhere. But especially in the world of art, every single person is going to interpret, whether it's music, painting, everyone's going to digest it, interpret it differently.
Totally.
So that keeps me from like overthinking it, because I'm studying marketing. Like, you know, I'm trying to like, you know, be a businesswoman, but at the end of the day, if people aren't hating my work, I'm not doing it right. You know, because if someone has that much hate for it, there are people that are going to be obsessed with it. You know, like I almost want to be more polarizing in my work. But the fact that I'm overthinking it and trying to like stay in this little happy place is why I think you know, not producing as much stuff. But
your marketing is really fucking good. Like the way you're very clever with the way you post things and the captions. It's very thoughtful in the sense of like, you know, like you found your like lane of how you want to express yourself to the world, and it's fucking dope.
That means so much, because I used to think about it. I used to overthink everything, and I'd like sit on captions for like days and be like plan out my feed. And now I'm just like, if it feels right, I'm gonna throw it up there.
Totally.
And it worked for me. Like, and I actually like, you know, I'm not putting on a front for anyone, which I was before. Yeah. You know, I'm trying to like, you know.
I think that's the shit that relates though. It's like truly authentic to you and what you want to share and who you want to like represent to the world through these platforms. And so I think that's what, not only do you have to have like, you know, your art has to have a connection to people, but like the way you present yourself to the world is what's going to keep people around, because they're just relating to how real it is, or how authentic it is to you.
I used to think like, I'm not mysterious enough to be an artist, or I'm not like, cause I have myself as, I think I'm an extension of my art, because my art is an extension of me. And my dad's like, you should make a different Instagram for your paintings. And I'm like, I am my paintings. So like, I'm not going to take my name off of it. I'm not going to like separate that, because like you'll understand my paintings if you understand me, and vice versa. Yeah. So I think I saw this quote like years ago that said, explanation kills art. I used to try to explain everything that went on in my head when I made a piece of art. And then I'm like, no, I'm just going to throw it up there. And like, I did that with that video I made with that dancer, and people came at me with all these different interpretations. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Yeah. I was like, wow, I didn't even think of it that way, but that makes so much sense.
Well, I think if it gets people so rattled up and they have a lot to say, I think you did it. You did your job as an artist, because you caused people to see it from different lenses, or like,
I had people send me videos of them crying watching it, and I was like, okay, I can do this. That was before I quit my job too, and that was like info I pulled from for that. But what a fun little journey, you know?
What a fun little journey.
I still don't know what I'm doing, but it's funny.
I love that you have that on your website too. Something along the lines of like, join along for the journey. I don't even know where I'm going.
Literally no idea what the fuck I'm going. But it's funny, like I haven't like talked about this in this format in a very long time, and I'm learning things, or I'm like, this is helping me remember that I do kind of know what I'm doing. Totally. But I don't know what it looks like. Yeah. But you know, all we Like,
because you gotta. Well, the thing is, like I said, I was kind of saying about even my own self. Sometimes you have to like literally stop and just look at where you just came from, and you're like, holy shit.
Like 20-year-old Kelly be like, this is the coolest bitch on the planet.
This is what I'm saying. but we, as human beings and as people, I would say we're both extremely passionate, driven, and we have high expectations for ourselves. So we're constantly chasing the next thing. We're always going to be chasing the next fucking thing. So it's like, if you can't stop now every once in a while and just like think about where you came from and how you got to where you are, that next big vision is not going to bring the happiness. Like having your own studio with 10 artists or like 10 people working and helping you sounds like happiness right now. Sounds like the biggest dream of all time. And then you get there and it's dope for like 5 weeks. And then you're back to like, now I need one with 20 people, you know? So it's like, it's fucking actually scary because there's times in my life where I tell myself, if only this happened, I would be the happiest kid alive. And then it happens and I'm like, yeah, this is fucking dope. But like, now I want this and then I want that.
Yeah, that's like me. It's like, all I want is my own space and like with a room to paint it. And I have that now. And I'm like, I need a fucking warehouse studio. Yeah. Like I can't do that. But yeah.
Have you ever seen a documentary on Netflix called Minimalism?
Oh yeah. I've watched it multiple times. That is my life.
I love that.
Yeah. I wear the same outfit. No one asks me what I wear to go out anymore because they know I wear the same thing every time I go out.
It's great. But there's so much more space, not only physically in our lives, because we have less shit or it actually means something to us. Also saves us money. But I feel mentally, I have felt so much clearer in my mind.
Oh my God, yeah.
From being a minimalist and like strategically not spending my money on dumb shit. Like I wear the same clothes all the time. I feel very confident in it. Don't give a fuck if it's basic. Like this is just, it works for me.
I couldn't agree more. And I always push that documentary on whoever I can.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Ever since I watched that and I like got rid of living in New York, you get rid of a lot just space wise. And I just,
'cause you don't have a lot of space to work with, so you have to make it work.
I felt like I always had to be able to move on a whim. Like that's how I felt I needed to be. And then that causes you to have a few things. I finally bought some furniture, but like a bed and a couch, like, you know, I don't know. I used to like buy things to either fit an aesthetic I thought I wanted to be, or like all the stuff. And I think ridding myself of that just cleared my whole head up.
Totally. Because you're not thinking about it. And it's almost like a validation of like, oh, I got the fucking new thing that came out. Or
like I can appreciate certain styles and aesthetics on other people, but I know for a fact that won't work on me. I know what works on me. So I'm just going to like, you know, be me for once in my goddamn life.
Yeah. Fuck. I just love minimalism. To me, it's like, it just clears so much headspace.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting towards the end of this. I know that you are familiar with We Are Not Really Strangers.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking dope.
Did Ryan tell you? Or?
No, not at all. So when I do these research for these podcasts, I like will take time and go through people's Instagrams, see like what they follow, try to understand like, do we have similar interests in like who we follow? I saw you follow We Are Not Really Strangers, but I recently got the game and I recently have been, before people come to the podcast, I pull a card for you.
Okay.
And I already wrote it down. So your question is...
Oh, fuck. I've never played this game, but I know it's a lot. It's funny you bring this up because I want Sorry Dad to be the We're Not Really Strangers of the body. That's my goal. Like I want it to be this open forum of intimacy, but in the sexual realm. Like I already talked to Ryan and we're trying to develop a game too, but it's more on the sexual side. Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's great. I love that. I can definitely see that happening. So
I'm going to manifest it right now on this podcast. Yeah.
And then when it blows the fuck up, I'm going to cut this clip, post it. This shit will go viral.
Yeah. Vanity Fair.
We're all fucking winning. We're all winning. So your question is, what lesson took you the longest to unlearn?
To unlearn. Oh, fuck. What lesson took me the longest to unlearn? Oh, well, I think I've always hated my body. I've always been super judgmental of like my body at all times growing up until this like recently. And starting art, or actually being successful in art. So recently I've realized putting beauty out into the world allows me to be less judgmental on my own physical being. And I've had to unlearn the hate for my own body. That's one of them. I'm sure there's so many. I've literally spent my whole life unlearning everything I was taught.
I think we all at some point do something similar.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it about? And not to get into specifics or anything that's not comfortable. What about your body? It's just.
I always thought I always wanted to be this tiny little thing, and I know I'm fit and normal height, and I'm not overweight, but I see myself as overweight all the time. I think it's a body dysmorphia thing, but I don't know. I've always been super self-conscious about my body, but there are days where I'm obsessed with myself. So I don't know. I think I'm getting to a point where I love my body, everything about my body. But
what was that? I forgot to write it down. Otherwise I would have just said what it was. But the most recent thing you had posted on your Instagram, it was for women, it's you need to just,
on my personal one?
Yeah. It was literally the last post you had.
You really just got to be obsessed with yourself, ladies. That's the trick.
I think that's the key.
It's the trick. That's exactly what society doesn't want you to be, because they profit off you not being obsessed with yourself. And we've all been victim to it, but they say they say being obsessed with yourself is a negative thing. You're so vain.
Yeah.
And I'm if not me, then who?
Yeah. Well, I think it's the most attractive thing, at least for me and what I've seen in the women that I've been attracted to, is that confidence of I'm in love with myself. And I think that is such a strong trait to have in yourself. And it's so hard to get to that point that it takes time. It definitely took me time to feel fully confident in who I am. And if you don't like what you see, totally cool. I'm not supposed to be the perfect person for every single person, but I think the ability to love yourself for the flaws, for everything, and to be proud of that is so hard to do, but so fulfilling at the same time.
And I think if you truly feel that way about yourself and you act, you're going to act that way if you truly feel that way, people will perceive you differently.
100%.
You can see insecurity from a mile away, and not that it's a bad thing. We're all working on it. Everyone's always working on it, but there's that energy of confidence.
Totally, because the person walks in the room and they are not reserved. They're not trying to be somebody they're not. It's who the fuck is this?
I've been attracted to physically, the men I've been attracted to all look infinitely different, but it's funny because if I saw a photo of one of them, but it's the energy of confidence that really So
that's the key. The confidence in the way they carry themselves.
Not a narcissistic cockiness or anything like that, but just self-love. Nothing overbearing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good fucking character to have in anybody.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Because, the society feeds off the opposite of that. But
fuck all that bullshit.
Yeah, fuck that noise.
That's a good lesson to be unlearned though. You handled that question pretty good. I don't know how I would have answered it.
Yeah, so I'm sure on my drive home I'm gonna be damn it, I had a better answer. But
nope.
Honestly, this conversation has flowed so naturally. I don't even know anything that I said, and now I'm fuck, I gotta listen to this back and be do I want to repost this? Fuck. But I do know that one difference between this and the last one I did is the last one I did, I was just talking shit the whole time, and this I feel like a different person. I feel more grounded. And
the crazy thing about doing these, you'll leave today and I will literally feel like I'm on a fucking different level of a drug for the rest of my day, because it is the most fulfilling, and I just feel so half the time I'm just listening and I'm just guiding the conversation, adding my 2 cents here and there, but
this is your art. I know how that feels.
I love this shit. I fucking time just fucking goes by. It is for sure my passion. It is. I took similar. I mean, you took a decade off, which is clearly some time. I didn't get into podcasting until 2016, but then taking this job and stepping away really for there was 9 months that I had stepped away, and I probably averaged 1 podcast a month across the first 6 months. coming from a place where I was averaging 1 to 2 pieces of podcast a week for 3.5 years. So it was a big adjustment. But to step away, it was fucking weird to do that for so much because I lost my identity.
Yeah.
I lost like, okay, yeah, like I work for this great company and this is like what I do for them. But that creative voice, or for you, like having a way to like express the way you're feeling or your thoughts is like, it's just so therapeutic.
And you don't even realize you're losing your identity when you're not doing it until you find it again, which is a cool little journey to go on.
Yeah. And what's so cool about it though is I think sometimes when we step away and we feel like we're not making progress because we step away. So technically we're not making progress because we're not working on the day-to-day of like working on something. That space that gets created allows us to come back and have a different lens. So like
for sure,
when I stopped that old podcast, Purpose in the Youth, it felt I had no regrets, or it really was a pause in the beginning, but I felt so confident in like pausing the show and taking the new job that it needed to be done. But then fast forwarding, and then back in August, I officially just like put out a final podcast, a solo podcast, just like recapping the last 4 years of what it was like, and just officially ending the project, and then segueing into this. It felt so like in that time when I paused and I didn't know what was gonna happen next, I was like so fucking nervous because like, am I about to just shut this down and like say goodbye to this thing that I had built and put all my time and energy and love into? But doing that allowed me to then take all the tools and lessons that I had learned and then put into this new baby where it's like, this thing is only 34 episodes in, and it's like, this thing, like it's going to be a fucking rocket because I know what I wanted to do differently, and then I took it and I've been applying it.
This is like this lesson, you could apply it, I feel like relationships. It's like,
totally.
You know, it'll all flow in and out of all of that naturally, and you had to go through that, and you had to end that in order to get here.
And that's what happens with everything. Like I even think
Everything.
about past relationships where in the time I felt so fucking lost because this person didn't want anything to do with me, and so I wanted everything to do with her, and I felt like fuck, like my life was like down in the digger for a while. Yeah. But then it taught me to be so much more confident in myself and like realizing I don't need somebody to make me happy. Like,
and it wasn't you.
And there you go.
It's never you.
But we fucking tweak our minds and think it is us.
Validation.
And then, but also too, sometimes we then think that they're intentionally trying to hurt us when they never did. It just wasn't the right time, or it wasn't the right energy, or we fucking make up these thoughts in our mind like, oh, they're out to get us.
I'm crazy.
We all, but it's not you. Everybody.
Yeah.
Even the males out there. Y'all are afraid to be fucking vulnerable. Open up. Let's go.
With the last dude, I remember consciously the whole time being like, I'm fucking amazing.
Yeah.
How do you not see it? And then it was
You're
my
lost.
ego being like, I'm going to prove it to you. But then I was like, you're lost.
Yeah, totally.
You know, it's like a weird mental roller coaster.
My sister's literally this, like, she has the same energy. She's 2 years younger than me, and I swear she was strong. She's like my fucking rock. Sometimes I've had to lean on her because she's just like, she don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like, she's just you ain't love.
Not
like,
give a fuck,
you just like, see you later. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But
it took me that's something I had to unlearn.
Yeah.
Or learn. Or
unlearn the giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to get it tatted on my body at some point. I don't want to just put like, don't give up. You have anything?
I don't have anything. I'm the type of person that if I get one, I'm going to map out my whole body.
Yeah.
And I'm not that cool.
Yeah. If it means something to you, I only have one right now. I got a couple more I'm about to get in 2 weeks. So this was like the first one I ever got. This was actually the time that I got the job with Liquid IV.
I love that.
And it was like a weird time because I was like, stopping the podcast. I was trying to find my identity, all this crazy shit, and then I got this, and the name of the font is actually Beyond Infinity.
So
keep going Beyond Infinity. But yeah, I think it's dope if you can find.
I have commitment issues, so tats are hard.
Probably, yeah.
And like for me, like with art, I hate everything I've created. Like I just I feel like I'm judgmental, and I feel like if I pick a piece of art for myself, I'm gonna hate it eventually.
I bet you though, if it means something to you, you'll never regret it.
And I don't give a fuck anymore.
And you don't give a fuck. But I think it's the art can resemble chapters in your life. So now there's like I strategically will only I am trying to make sure that if I do get a tattoo moving forward, there's a story behind why I got it or when. And so like even the next couple things that I'm getting in 2 weeks, it literally like has a story for each piece, and it's not like just some random shit that I'm throwing on my body. So I think it ends up, I don't know, you're like you get to wear it with you, which is kind of fucking dope.
One day. I have a feeling I'm going to get one, but my brother's tatted head to toe, so.
Doesn't give a fuck.
Doesn't give a fuck.
I love that. Tatted up.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this podcast up, sometimes I feel like people, they don't know what the next step should be, or they're looking for, not advice, but like actionable things to do. Mm-hmm. So if somebody made it this far on the podcast, what is a challenge you have for them that you think could help them in any way, whether it's listening to podcasts, whether it's reading more, whether it's chasing a passion? Like, what's one actionable challenge that you have for people that made it this far on the podcast?
You know, this isn't part of my identity, but it is. It's just I'm not vocal about it. But I think taking care of your physical being, like mentally, of course, but like working out and getting endorphins is the only reason I'm alive every day. Like I need that, or else I'm going to just be a crazy person. But I think you can't do anything unless you're physically, healthy. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is the root of everything that I do, is whether I'm eating well, which I do. I'm vegan for the most part, but sometimes I eat fish. And just take care of your physical being. Because I think we neglect that. Mm-hmm. We're like, there's so many other things we have to worry about. And I think the physical being will bleed into the mental state. For me, it's important to do that because I get really lost in the sauce. And I think the endorphins keep me out of that.
I agree. I think if you want to do anything at a high level, I think we've all seen it, like your body is your temple. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you even think of it like a car, if you put diesel into a car that doesn't take diesel, the shit's not going to fucking work. So it's like what you consume is going to totally impact the way you feel on a daily basis, the energy, the motivation. Like, I mean, even when I think about like cutting out carbs, it gives me more energy because my body isn't trying to like
I need to do that.
Break down. Oh, I love bread.
But I am a carb. Like, it's on my dating profiles. It's like everything you love, carbs.
I know, but everything with carbs is fucking bomb. It's all balanced at the end. So you can cheat, totally cheat. Yeah. But I completely agree. I think taking care of our physical bodies will transform us in many ways possible.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media?
I am on Instagram, Cali Rock, CALI.
Is it just straight through Cali Rock?
Yeah. I don't know how I got that handle. I was really late to the Instagram game. I'm on TikTok.
Whoa.
TikTok is a mixture of art. I had one post go viral, so it got me a bunch of followers.
Must be nice.
Yeah, it was like back in December of last year, but I dance on there and I paint. Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram,
and then sorry, you'll see Sorry Dad in my Instagram bio. So
dope. Cali, it's been a fucking pleasure having you here.
Love this so much. Can we do it same time tomorrow?
Every day. I'm just gonna put it on my calendar for work. Like, sorry, I'm like busy.
Your 3 hours every morning is actually just talking to me.
Sorry, guys. Get back to you like around noon or something like that. Yeah, I love doing podcasts. This is like the fucking. This is the best thing in the world. But one thing I've been I want to do heavily more is and unintentionally when I was doing the old podcast, it was just heavily male. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have an army of incredible women that I know, and I will send them your way.
Keep fucking sending my way.
Oh, I already know who I would send.
This is the best part. I was telling the first girl that was on the podcast earlier this week. I was getting people coming at me like, "What? You don't want a woman on your podcast?" I go, "Do you not think I don't want to talk to women?" I'd rather just fucking start.
He's scared of women. I'm kidding. We're intimidated.
Yeah, like I would rather just start a podcast focused on the women. Fuck all the dudes. I'm sick of this big dick energy coming in here. I'm gonna start talking to the women.
Yeah, preaching to the choir.
Yeah, like come on, these fucking guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is an incredible podcast.
Love it.
If you guys and gals enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to give Cali Rock a follow on Instagram. But ultimately, screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag her at Cali Rock, and tag me at Bobe, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Share out this podcast. Tell us what you enjoyed, and we'll hopefully see you guys and gals soon enough. Cali, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
This was amazing.
Talk to you guys soon enough. See ya!